All right, here we go. We are live. We are live. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the very first episode of Hero School Podcast. My name is DJ White. I will be your host today and every single day moving forward. Basically, you guys are stuck with me, right? You guys are locked in. So, there's a few things I want to do with this podcast. I run a men's community. I've been a fitness coach for about 20 years now. Yeah, actually, this is the 20th anniversary. Wow, time flies by. It has been 20 years. And I also run a men's anime inspired fitness community on the Skool community called Hero School, which is why it's called Hero School Podcast. And, I got a lot of crazy ideas that I want to do. Obviously, I've been helping these guys get their bodies right, get their minds right. One reason why I actually created an anime inspired fitness community was because there's a reason why anime has lasted this long and made such a huge impact all around the world. Let's just be honest. Okay. There's so much philosophy that's in Eastern shows versus Western shows like, Teenage Mutant Ninja shows that I grew up on, or, Thundercats, Transformers. Not a lot of philosophy there. Maybe good and bad, but that was about it. But, Eastern shows, animes, there's a lot of deep embedded philosophy that somehow even makes sense as you get older. And I think that's something that's really interesting that I really want to touch on with this series. And so what you guys are basically doing right now, you guys are going to hang out with me. All right, we're going to sit here. We're going to watch the entire series of different training arcs over all my favorite animes over the course of time. So you're going to lock in for a lot of episodes with me. Just get used to hearing my voice. But, I really want to have fun with this. So this is going to be a very casual way of going through things. It's not going to be structured. I want to, pause the videos when I need to, make commentary when I need to, give you guys some really cool facts. But, I really want you guys to take this journey with me because I think that the intangible reasons as to why anime, even to this day, is more popular now than it was ever when I was a kid. I mean, I started off drawing Guyver in sketchbooks with my homie Alex back at Sierra Vista School, or drawing things like, Aladdin, from Disney movies, or drawing Dragon Ball Z, of course, ad nauseum, TMNT. And the thing about anime shows is there was always such a deeper feel to it, right? It never quite felt like you were just watching a kid's show. There was something real, something much more wise that was embedded that would really make you think like, maybe there's more than just good and evil. Maybe there's a lot of gray area. And honestly, I think that's what anime is good at doing. It's good at showing the gray area that does exist in the human condition. It's not like every single time Superman fights somebody, we already know Superman's a good guy, the other guy's a bad guy, no matter what the scenario. Anime is like, well, it depends on the circumstance, what you're doing, why you're doing it. Are you good for doing this, bad for doing this? It just depends. And you got to have a very strong internal philosophy and moral guiding compass that exceeds good versus evil. There must be just, there must be moral, there must be able to have nuance to decide things. And, I say all this because, in 2026, this is 40 years later, right? This Dragon Ball, the actual series, came out in 1986, the same year I was born, right? I'm just going to be 40 years old this year. The fact that it's more popular now than it was when I was a kid, it just shows you that the real wisdom that's embedded in these shows just transcends time, transcends generations. Like all the greatest movies out there, like one of my favorite series to watch of movies ever was The Matrix, right? Generation after generation, we all find great value. And you can look at that movie anytime you want to and be like, wow, that's deep. That applies to today. Things like Lord of the Rings, even though it's fantasy, there's so many natural truths in there about the way humans interact with each other. There are archetypes of human beings and the way people organize themselves and how they comport themselves in the world that just transcend generation because there's truth in them. Oftentimes, archetypes that are made in those fictions actually are more true than real people because it's an amalgamation of all those truths put into like one hyper consolidated form. And we were able to watch that, study it, learn from it, be entertained by it. And it hits us on a level that's both subconscious and conscious. And what I want to do with this series is actually breed forth a lot of those maybe subconscious things that we didn't quite think about. All these, hidden gems of wisdom that are embedded in all of our favorite anime shows that we just overlooked, or maybe we're just too young to notice. Could be either or. So that being the case, it's only appropriate that on episode number 1, we start off with Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is my favorite cartoon of all time for a lot of different reasons. But I think the training arcs are unique. And one training arc specifically that is more unique than any other training arc that ever came after it is the first one that he wrote. So when Akira Toriyama started the show, the very first training arc was, of course, when Goku and Krillin went to go train with Master Roshi. The truth of the concepts Master Roshi uses here, as well as the methods he uses, and his understandings and philosophies that he uses, I've never seen in any other training arc ever in any show. I would call this the great grandfather of all training arcs that have ever mattered. This is not the flashy ones where, Goku's in the gravity chamber and, that leads to his Super Saiyan transformation, or, Vegeta's time in the gravity chamber, or Goku turning Super Saiyan 3, or later on, the guys doing Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego. Those are fantastic. Those are great. But the actual concept that applies to us in real time, whether you're a kid, teenager, or an adult, whether you're just getting into sports, whether you're a man who just cares about his fitness, those principles are true and they are solid. And me being a fitness professional for the past 20 years, I'm telling you right now, the principles that Akira Toriyama put into this training arc are priceless. So we're going to watch the entire thing. You guys are going to sit back with me. You guys can kick your feet up, get ready to lock it for the next couple hours. And we're actually going to investigate all the reasons as to why this training arc was ingenious, the principles that he lays out, and why it's something that I want you guys to really consider applying to your lives today, especially if you want to make yourselves any stronger physically or mentally. The stuff Master Roshi says in here is absolutely timeless masculine wisdom that must be preserved. And that's what we'll do. So without further ado, let's kick this thing off. And once again, guys, so what I'll do is I'll let it play for a little while. I'll pause it when I need to make some commentary or make, some points on things that I find to be very profound or, comical or just very interesting. So I'll apply both my 20 some odd years as a fitness coach. I'll apply my 30 plus years doing martial arts and growing up wanting to be a fighter, just like Goku and Michelangelo and Bruce Lee and Bruce Leroy. Okay. I'll put all that stuff together so you guys can hear what my opinion and my thoughts are. My qualifications are, I have been a fitness coach for 20 years. I've done martial arts my entire life, but don't take my word for it. But I promise you, when I point these things out, it'll make sense. So that being the case, that's all I've been, guys. Let's have some fun here. Let's rock and roll.
Now, let's continue with our fearless training. Krillin, do you have any fighting experience?
Yes, I studied for 8 years at the Magic Orin Temple.
All right, then. Very good. I suppose I can skip the lesson on what a punch and a kick are. Now, before I teach you boys anything new, I'll need to test your current ability.
So that's actually really important what he said. Krillin just said he trained for 8 years at the Orin Temple. And he said, okay, that's good. So I don't have to basically waste time teaching you guys what a punch and a kick are. That's important because you would imagine that as soon as you get, you become a student of a world-class martial arts teacher, you would assume the first thing you're going to do is start learning how to punch and kick. Like, how can I get my punches faster? How can my kicks stronger? How can I move better? Yeah, he's not going to be doing that. That's not his intention. And so he skipped over that for a reason, but that's going to become very important later on. And I'll definitely point it out when it comes to happen and actually happens. This part here with training them and getting them to test their own skills. As a coach, if there's anyone who comes to me and say, hey, DJ, I want to learn how to lose 50 pounds, right? I'm talking to him on the phone. I'll say, okay, great. 50 pounds. How much do you weigh now? How can I know how to get you somewhere unless I know where you are at the moment? If someone said, hey, DJ, how do I get to New York? I'll say, okay, well, where are you coming from? We got to know where you are to know how to get you there in the safest and fastest way possible. And just to be honest, if I don't know where the heck you're at, I might just be shooting in the dark. And you guys got to be very mindful of any coach who's willing to just give you advice on how to train your body without knowing anything about you whatsoever. Oftentimes, those plans are going to fall short. So it's really important that the person you get guidance from gets a chance to assess your skills. And that's what Master Roshi is going to do here. He's like, let's assess your guys' skills. Let's find out where you guys are now so I can decide what's the best course to move you guys forward and to get you there as fast as possible. That's a good coach.
Let's see. We'll start from over here and finish at that tree. That's about 100 meters, right? Where's my stopwatch?
You want us to race?
Running is a good test of speed and strength. Though, of course, if you're an expert fighter, you shouldn't be the one who has to run away.
Yeah, I love the comedy. It's genius. Yes, so running is a fantastic test of speed and strength. There's a lot that you can glean, especially from sprinting, right? He wants them to do a 100-meter dash. Now, when it comes to sprinting, there's a lot you can learn from a fighter. There's a lot you can learn from their ability to move and their proficiency with technique. For example, if I have someone do a running test and I'm looking at them as a coach, what I need to understand is, okay, what's their coordination? How much power are they able to apply with their legs? Do they fizzle out too quick because they don't have much stamina in their legs? Do they not produce enough force, as in they're sprinting super slow? Are they is their coordination completely backwards because their arms aren't moving smoothly? They don't have a very good rhythm. Are they unable to maintain good posture, which means they have poor core strength? As they are sprinting, I might think to myself, okay, looking at their eyes, do they seem to get discouraged at the faster they go? Or do they maintain a high level of enthusiasm and they're looking forward to it, like they've done this before? When their feet are set up on the floor, are they getting into a stance that simulates being on blocks, like what you guys will see Krillin do here in a second? Do they have really good internal rotation or internal torque applied with their feet? As in, when you're a sprinter, it's very natural to be slightly pigeon-toed. All the best sprinters of the world are essentially pigeon-toed because it is an internal torque force application against the ground that allows you to drive forward. If you see kids who are more uncoordinated when it comes to the running, they're going to be more duck-footed, right? Their feet are kind of pointed out to the sides. So when someone lines up for sprinting, if you see their feet out here, you're like, oh man, we got a lot of trouble here. We got a lot of work to do trying to, retrain your body to move properly, which is going to waste some time and also just show us that right off the bat, you probably have poor agility, have poor foot movement altogether. Your ability to control distance in a fight is going to be heavily, heavily limited because you don't have very good coordination of your legs. So it's going to be natural for a coach to look at certain tests, like a sprint test. And it doesn't have to be a sprint, but it's natural to look at these tests and to say, from this test, I'm able to gather a lot of information about how you move. So I know whether or not you're ready for stage 2 or we got to go back to stage 0.5.
I'll run first, Master Roshi.
Ooh, confident, are you?
Well, you'll both see why. I could probably make the Olympics if I wanted to.
Yeah, I love Krillin's
On your mark!
Man. He's a short dude, but he believes in himself. I love it. Okay.
Get set!
So look at that. My man's in a sprinter stance. So he's obviously trained. And you guys will see there's going to be a clear difference between how Goku lines up and Krillin lines up. Krillin is coming from the side of 8 years at the Orient Temple, as well as being well-trained. So this is going to be a guy who's much smarter and has a higher IQ when it comes to technique. So just keep that in mind.
Hit it! My, you ran it in 10.4 seconds. Well, that's
imagine.
Pretty darn good.
Imagine a kid running that 10.4 in the 100-meter dash.
Okay,
That's wild.
run. I usually make it around 10.1. I don't know what happened, but I guess the wind was against me.
Wind was against him. He's got a bald head.
Master Roshi, can I take a turn at it now?
Well, let's not get antsy. Now on your mark. Get set.
What an amateur.
Go!
Maybe he's a bit faster than I thought.
Let's see now. Looks like 11 seconds even. That's a good finish, but Krillin, I'd say you still beat him hands down.
Oh, it's really not fair to compare him to me. I set the bar pretty high, you know.
Yes, well, for rookies, you both have good potential.
Master Roshi, can I try again with different shoes? Don't be a sore loser and try to blame your shoes, Goku.
This is an important point I want you guys to understand about a coach who's really wise and understands his students. He understands human nature. You guys might be watching this right now and be like, man, why is Krillin so snarky? Why is he being a little shit all the time? Why is he always, poking and prodding at Goku? And why doesn't Master Roshi say something? Because it's not his place. And who cares? I think that's one thing about masculinity nowadays is the idea that anytime something bad has been done, somebody needs to be saved. They need to be saved. They don't. The idea that a lot of people have about the no harm principle, like my philosophy for life is that I just do no harm to anybody. That's absolute BS. What do you mean do no harm to anyone? Harm is also contingent on the time scale. If I told you right now, you guys will engage, I'm going to put you, when you guys meet with me over the next hour, your blood pressure is going to spike to the roof. Cortisol levels are going to spike. You're going to feel exhausted. You're going to feel like you're out of breath. You might be like, DJ, what are you going to make me do? I don't think I want to do that. Why? Because that's harmful. But what if I told you that was just exercise? And we all know that exercise is going to make you stronger later. You bring a certain degree of harm to your body now in exchange for greater strength, speed, stamina, flexibility, power, whatever it's going to be in the future. So suffering and pain is actually a trade-off for pretty much everything in life, especially when it comes to getting better at it. And there's too much discourse nowadays of people saying, you know what, well, if it's harmful, you shouldn't do it. No, that's absolute BS because we don't really know what harm is. And in the case of words, if someone can make you feel pissed off or control your emotions with words, that's because you let them. You simply let them. And I think we've forgotten that principle in the normal discourse of everyday life. Words should not hurt you. Remember that old tune when we were kids, right? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yeah, because they shouldn't. Because if words can hurt you, what happens when I use a stick or a stone? Then you're going to fold quickly. As a man, you need to be tough enough to withstand sticks and stones, which means to do that, words shouldn't feel like anything. And you only allow yourself to be pained by words. And here's a good example as to why that's really the case. Let's assume I said this to you. Now, I'm not trying to imitate a Chinese person. I'm just saying. Let's assume I did that. What did I just say to you? You don't know. So you have no way of feeling anything. But what if I said I just cursed you out in a new different language, right? But because you didn't understand what I was saying, it couldn't affect you, which means your own translation and interpretation of the words is the reason why you're offended. When you place meaning on them, you have chosen to be offended. And one thing that's all throughout the Dragon Ball series is when someone does call Goku later on a monkey, he never sits there and goes, I'm not a monkey. How can you say it to me? When? No, he doesn't care. He disregards it. Even to the point where later on, he actually jests and jeers against Frieza, who calls him that. And he's like, I don't know why you call Saiyans by such mindless names. All it does is just reveal your own ignorance and fear, right? And I guess you got to use words because you're not strong enough to stop me any other way. Goated, right? And he says it because it's true. As a man, we got to bring back the idea that bullying does not matter. I used to get bullied all the time as a kid. I used to look just like Krillin when I was a kid. And as my mom, it's a true story. I had a bald head. I did martial arts. I was short, just like that. I was the shortest guy in all my classes because I skipped a grade. And I was tiny. I used to get picked on all the time. So what? And my dad told me, you are not allowed to ever start a fight. If a guy said words to you, it means nothing. The only time you can do something is if they actually hit you or strike you. And I agree. I think the idea that words can hurt you is absolute BS. And so what you guys will notice with Master Roshi's training style is he doesn't tell Krillin to calm down. Hey, Krillin, be nicer to Goku. Don't be so mean to him. No, he just lets their personalities be who they are because that's how humans are. And I think the sooner people can realize that about human nature, the better off we're going to be. Some people are just not getting along with. Some people are just going to have a personality that just rubs you the wrong way. Oh, well, stop crying about it. And words should not affect you so much. You have to learn to be tougher than that. So I love how anytime Krillin does jest against Goku, Roshi just lets it happen because they're grown up. They'll figure it out. And when Krillin does become stronger and smarter and understands what hard work is, he'll temper his own spirit. You have to let him go through his own journey. But Master Roshi is not here to be a nanny state. He's not here to save you. And that's a very important point. I want you guys to keep that in consideration moving forward.
Look at mine. They're not exactly meant for running either. Now, are they? But at least yours aren't all torn up. I can see my toes. Much better. Okay, I'm ready.
And look at his running technique, right? So that's the difference between Goku and Krillin. As you'll see, Krillin is well studied. He's more intelligent. And Goku is like a blunt instrument. But man, he's talented.
Ready?
All right, get on your mark. Get set. Go! Wow, 8 seconds flat.
8 second 100-meter dash. Wow. It's wild.
Was I fast? Who taught you how to run like that? What do you mean? No one taught me. That'd be silly.
Well, for 2 young men, you're at the top of your league. But that's not good enough. See, boys, to be truly great fighters, you must learn to go beyond the limits of normal people. And that's no cakewalk.
That's a very important point. All right, one of the first lessons he teaches Goku and Krillin is, hey, you guys are at the top of your league, as in you guys are at the top of your class. But you have to learn to get beyond your limits. I don't care if you are good. The idea is we must push beyond that. And that in itself is the true ethos and spirit of growth and self-development. I don't care if you're the most talented kid in the world. You know what the actual solution is to make you stronger? Hard work. If you're the weakest kid in the class, you know what the solution is? Hard work. Can't get away from it. No matter what, we all must work hard. And that's the lesson these guys are going to learn.
I'll let you be the timekeeper.
And whose time am I keeping?
Mine, of course. I just hope I'm still in shape.
Okay, Master Roshi, are you ready?
That's a good question. Oh, yeah, I think I'm ready.
Okay, then on your mark, get set. Go! That's moving!
So a couple things here. The stance that Master Roshi took is very much a martial arts stance. It's, I think, actually was made famous by the great Miyamoto Musashi, by his Niten Ichiryu, to where his way of fighting against the 60 to 70 Yoshioka disciplined practitioners was to have one sword in each hand, right? His long sword, his katana, as well as his wakizashi, held at his sides in that very relaxed manner. And a lot about being able to move quickly and to be fast is about relaxation. Now, that's a very, very true principle. You know, for sprinting or any sort of high-powered, explosive movement application, there's a very simple mantra in sports that we say, right? We say a relaxed muscle is a fast muscle. That's true. So he shows up, hey, in order to run the fastest, he's completely relaxed. Now, mind you, Krillin's, stance from blocks is going to be number one way of doing it. But the relaxed posture is a lot better than Goku's arms out to the side posture, which is pretty goofy. But then you also notice that he kicked in his technique at the end. So he shows that he went from being relaxed all the way to the point of being in a good sprinter's technique when he finished, even enough to pose and, and strike that pose on him, which is very good. And I think what's important too is when you are a coach or a master, it's going to be difficult to get anyone to sing your tune and follow your path unless you're him, unless you can do exactly what they're aiming for. And that's a big deal. I tell my clients all the time, you don't want to follow a fitness trainer who's overweight, because if they're overweight and they're in worse shape than you, you got to think to yourself this, man, if you're charging me $200 an hour to coach with you and your information is so valuable, why won't you even use it? Right? You're willing to charge me $200 an hour for your knowledge, but you don't even think it's useful because you don't even use it yourself when you know your health is bad. Who would listen to that guy? We don't, right? And I mean, there are some charlatan trainers who do that, but that's another story. But you wouldn't listen to him, right? You wouldn't go and take an accountant. If you walked into an accountant and his entire desk was completely messy, you wouldn't ask him to be the one to organize your finances. Right? The eye test matters. And you want to make sure that the person who's giving you advice is not the person who's closest to you, as in like my friends and family. It's the person who's closest to the goals you want. So it's natural for me to say, hey, if I want to be the best basketball player I can, I'm going to learn from Kobe Bryant, RIP, or learn from Michael Jordan. I wouldn't say I want to learn from the guy who studied him. No, I want to learn from the person who did those things. And that's what's unique about Master Roshi, even in his old age, right? And at this point, he's over 300 years old, I think, self-stated. He's able to perform in a way that's way faster than them, even in his old age. So what it does to them is they go, wow, if you can do that, you can definitely teach me how to do it. And that's very important as a coach to be able to have that credibility, to show that you embody your own philosophies. You don't just talk about it. You actually live that life, because if it is valuable and if it is the right way to do it, then you do it.
What's my time?
5.6 seconds.
5 6/10, huh? Not too bad.
Can you teach us to do that?
What, through a purple turtle shell? All right, the running. Of course. It's just a matter of surpassing normal human limitations. Whew. Gee, all that running made my tongue dry. Goku, grab me a brewski.
Okay. What's a brewski? Don't worry, Master. I gotcha.
Oh, Goku, I have many things to teach you besides fighting. Now, are you sure you weren't raised in a bubble?
Oh, wow! Master Roshi really is strong! He's not just a dirty old man after all!
See, that's an important point. See, Master Roshi is strong. He's not just a dirty old man after all. He showed them that not only can I teach you how to get there, I've already gotten there. I'll teach you how to be like me. And whether you're a kid or an adult, that gives you the highest probability of success to learn whatever you're learning. Now, of course, is it possible to meet with a fitness trainer who's super lean, super shredded, and super ripped and not get the right advice? Of course it is. But everything in life is a predictor. When someone is ripped, lean, high performing, the odds of success are dramatically higher than if they're not. And so when you make those value judgments, you want to make sure the person that you want to listen to is not the one who's closest to your inner circle. They're the one closest to your goals.
And that's a brief explanation of how to go beyond your limits. Now you boys have one more task to perform.
So that's important, right? They don't really show that scene, but he keeps reiterating, I'm showing you how to go beyond your limits, beyond your limits, beyond your limits. That's all foreshadowing. He's trying to show them that in order for you to get stronger, we must go beyond your limits. Now, is that any different than what we do in the gym every single day? You know, if I'm bench pressing 135 pounds, then the idea is that that's my limit. By next week, I want to be able to increase the weight by about 5 pounds. So I'm pushing beyond my limits. When you challenge yourself beyond your limits, your body has a reason to adapt to these stimuli and grow even stronger. And so that principle is how things go. Now, if you're practicing techniques, is that necessarily going beyond your limits? Probably not. When you're sparring, is that necessarily beyond your limits? Not really, right? Because you're supposed to be dialed back a bit. So if you have to go beyond your limits, would you spar very much? Would you practice technique? Or would you do something to train your body? Training your body physically is how you go beyond your limits. That's why it's genius.
Before we go inside to that wonderful smelling supper.
Are we running?
No, it's a different kind of test. Take a good look at this stone. Have you memorized it?
I think so. Are you going to eat it?
What? No, Goku. Oh, yeah, still got the old arm.
The test is to throw stones?
Master Roshi, your training sure is kind of weird.
Throwing stones is not the test here.
Huh?
The test is to find mine.
What? You mean the one you just threw?
Anyone can throw a stone, just like anyone can throw a punch. But to find a stone takes a focused mind and a calm spirit. This is what will separate you from the others.
That's very important. It requires a focused mind and a calm spirit. Now, why would those two things be useful in martial arts? Well, when your mind is focused, focus means what? Free from distraction. When you have a calm spirit, it means you're not agitated. If you're not agitated, that means you're thinking clearly. So think of, in Zen Buddhism, we'd say, if you see a nice clear lake or pond and you drop something in it and it gets all wavy, you can't really see what's going on because it's agitated. The water's agitated. You can't see a reflection of yourself in that water. But when the water calms down and it's clear and it's not agitated, you see things perfectly. And that is a principle that men need to understand. I don't care if it's from Eastern philosophy, Western, every single philosophical understanding at its greatest level always comes down to some form of stoicism. Your ability to control your emotions, control your inner turmoil so that you can see things clearly. We all know that when we're emotional, we're more prone to making bad decisions. When we're more clear-minded, we're more prone to making good decisions, right? Once again, it's just predictors, right? A clear mind is a higher predictor of success. An agitated mind is a lower predictor of success. And so when you think to yourself, how can I gain the advantage in what I'm doing in anything in life, whether it be martial arts, whether it be in conversations with people, trying to be successful in business, interactions with people, doing something physically performance-wise, having a clear mind allows you to be completely centered, what we consider like inner peace, so you can apply force and do things correctly, as opposed to being blinded by rage or, being sad and having tears in your eyes, not saying things, or being so emotional that you're actually misconstruing what's happening. So what he's telling these guys, these boys, is like, you guys need to learn how to see things clearly and deal with frustration. And he's going to explain that in a second here.
And so, the person who finds it can keep the stone, and the one who doesn't can keep their appetite.
You mean no supper?
That's right. And if no one brings the stone back in 30 minutes, then neither of you gets to eat. Now hurry up, boys. Time's already started.
Yes, that's going to make him freak out, right? And so what he's doing is he's saying, look, I need you guys to have a calm mind, a calm spirit. I want you guys to have a clear mind. I'm going to make you guys do something. Find and use your intuition. However, can't make it that easy. Let's put a time constraint on it. I know you guys are already hungry. So you guys have 30 minutes to find this or you get no food at all. So now what did he do? He just agitated them, right? So it wasn't just the idea, hey, I'll throw a rock, try to find it. Maybe they could if they were calm, but he's trying to say, look, you have 30 minutes to do it or you won't get any food until tomorrow. That's rough. So of course, their incentive is, I better go find this thing. So now he's saying, while you are agitated, I just frustrated the heck out of you and I just made you freak out. Can you still think clearly and find the stone? It's actually a very good test.
That one really hurt. But I've got to get my supper.
So right now you're going to see the big contrast between both Goku and Krillin. Goku is clearly pure brawn. And Krillin, because he's less physically gifted, has to use his brains more. This is what Niccolo Machiavelli would call the difference between the lion and the fox. Goku is very much a lion. He has strength. He has fortitude. But he's not very quick-minded yet, right? Not yet. He has to learn that later on. Krillin, on his own, he uses his thinking because he's always been the runt, right? Back at Orin Temple, he used to get picked on all the time. He's usually being the smaller guy, so he's got to use his brain in order to get around the world. And that's just two different humans. Now, Niccolo Machiavelli would say that a man needs to embody both the lion and the fox. And a successful combination of both will make you the best fighter possible. And what you'll see here in these two kids is Goku is very much a lion without the foxy skills. And then Krillin is a fox without the liony skills. And so with those two understanding, let's go ahead and see how they fare this training. Let's look at their tactics.
There's no way I can find that stone in half an hour, especially with Goku taking leaps like that.
Right? So he's able to say, you know what? I can't outperform this guy. Maybe I can outthink him.
Maybe there's a... Perfecto! It was hard, but I found it.
Good job. Very quick. Nice try, Lamo, but that's not my handwriting! Now get away!
Fair enough, right? And, you know, Master Roshi would say that he was born at night, but he wasn't born last night. He wasn't going to fall for those dumb little tricks. But he also didn't reprimand him for trying it. He just said, get back out there. Well, he whacked him on the head. Maybe that was his consequence, right? Maybe give him that. But he also said, get back out there. He didn't say, hey, don't use those ways. Make sure you're nice and make sure you don't cheat. No, he just said, wrongo, you didn't fool me. You didn't complete the test. Get back out there and go find my rock.
Sorry! Oh, how in the world did you find that, Goku?
Goku has it
It
first.
smells like Master Roshi. What are you, a dog? Wait, I think that stone might be a decoy.
What do you mean? It has his handwriting on it and everything.
Lots of stuff has his writing on it. He owns this place.
Oh, really?
I'll check it for you.
Okay, he's the fox.
You give up?
Oh, yeah.
Then you have to give the stone back.
Well, I can't argue with you. The rock is rightfully yours. So, take it.
Ah! Ah! Ah!
Wait up, Stone! I've got it.
What do you know? This one is real. Good job, Krillin. You've redeemed yourself.
Yes, thank you.
Now you guys will notice like I said before, he didn't say, Krillin, well, how'd you get this? Did you cheat like last time? Where's Goku at? What tactics did you use? No, he said, look, you found the stone. Now, Master Roshi being smart, he knows that he can't outperform physically what Goku can do. But he still made him rise to the challenge. And I think a lot of us have to understand that we're all born with different gifts. You know, Krillin is naturally a smarter thinker and he's wiser, especially at the young age. He's more tactful, even if it's cunning is tied up with being dubious and being a deceiver. But that's also still a skill. And in real life, people use both, just how things are, right? So, you know, you can say, hey, it wasn't fair because Goku had skills. Well, then Goku say it wasn't fair because Krillin's smarter. At the end of the day, being clever, won. And that's an important hard lesson that Goku has to learn.
Do you like it?
You bet.
Would you like more to drink, Master Roshi?
Oh, you read my mind. Well, I didn't know you were such a gourmet cook, Launch. Thank you very much.
Just thank the fish.
Oh, thank you.
See, and that's a lesson hard learned. Goku now has to sit there starving, being like, maybe just being physically strong isn't enough to always win, right? Wasn't that point made very clear by Frieza when he fought against him later on in his life, right? He was clearly stronger than Frieza when he turned into a Super Saiyan. So Frieza did what? He blasted Namek. He thought Namek would get destroyed, but it didn't. But he says, you basically have 5 minutes before he is destroyed. You know, like the strongest fighter isn't the one who always wins. Sometimes it's the smartest one, which is very true. Okay, so look at the timer here. 4:30.
Krillin, wake up. It's time to get started. Early bird and the worm. You know the saying.
So what I love about this too is if you guys want to be productive, you got to get up early in the morning, right? There's not much productivity going on late at night. You know, we're going out clubbing. We're, you know, getting into some sort of useless shenanigans. We're doom scrolling on our phones. No one's ever productive at 10 p.m., but no one ever wakes up at 4 a.m. to go clubbing. No one wakes up at 4 a.m. to doom scroll on their phone. They wake up at 4 a.m. to be productive. And I think one of the best principles that any boy, you know, teenager or man could ever learn is learn to wake up early and get your day started. You'll find yourself just being more productive because certain times of the day elicit certain types of behaviors. Later on in the day, we find ways to just waste time. Early in the day, we find ways to be productive. And that's a very good point. So he has these boys waking up at 4:30 to start their training. And of course, is Master Roshi just like hitting them with a stick and saying, hey, you guys should wake up and start your training? No, he's up before them, getting dressed before them, leading by example. It's a big deal. Every coach has to do that.
I don't even think the worms are awake yet.
Nice try. Now stop talking and start dressing. I'll go wake up Goku. Today, we embark on our study of the martial arts together. Before we begin, there is something very important you boys should know.
What?
We do not learn martial arts to pick fights or to impress girls who will say, oh, Beefcake, you're so strong, I want you.
So that's important, right? He's like, we don't study martial arts to pick fights or to impress women. Right? We're not doing it for vanity, and that's a very big deal. It's very easy as a young kid to get into martial arts thinking I can look cool and impress my friends and impress this girl. And those are all natural inclinations to want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. But the point to mastering yourself is knowing how to control those urges and doing things for the right reasons, not the reasons that just feel okay. And that's why trusting your instincts is considered a low-level human being, right? You might say, hey, you know, well, I have an instinct to want to chase a lot of girls, so I think I should do it because God made me that way. Yeah, well, also, God never really made you for forgiveness, did you? But you had to figure that out, didn't you? You know, like when you were born as a kid, your first inclination was to bite kids, or bite other people when you got angry, or to hit them or whack them. You have to train yourself not to do it. You know, God also made you able and capable to control yourself and restrain yourself and master who you are as a person, not to just rely on base instincts. And so even though you might have the inclination to want to do these things, that's normal. And I'm pointing it out. You don't do it anyway.
Do you understand what I am saying? We must master the art of peace in addition to the art of war. We achieve victory by the arts of war. Victory is won through strategy. Strategy is derived from the art of peace.
You can't separate peace and war. They're one and the same. You know, there's a very famous quote that says, to ensure peace, you must prepare for war. I think it's like parabellum, right? I think that's the actual like Latin term, something parabellum. Yeah, you have to. Like you can't, like peace is having the strength to maintain it. But because peace is what you want to do, you want to reverse engineer your strategy from peace. So what he's saying is, you know, the art of war, like strength is learning the art of war. And the art of victory is derived from the art of war and that strength. But then strategy is how you overcome people, but strategy must be originated from the idea of peace, as in your strategy is to maintain peace, not a strategy of war. War is a byproduct of your strategy to regain or to establish peace. There's a big difference in those understandings. So we're actually going to dive into this a little bit more, but Goku is actually going to get his ethos, and both Goku and Krillin get their ethos and their moral center from what Master Roshi is about to say right here.
However, if somebody evil threatens you or any other good, innocent people with unethical force, it is your duty to defend.
You hear that? If anyone threatens you or even people that you care for, it's your duty to defend, your duty, your responsibility as a man to take action. If you care about justice, if you believe that the world should be a just world, if you believe that justice should exist and we should all fight injustice, you must be capable of doing so. If you're incapable of doing so, what's the point? And that's what he's teaching these boys. I'm going to teach you guys martial arts, but it's not for your own self-aggrandizement. It's not to get adulation from the women. It is to instill peace. And if anyone is trying to harm you, it is your duty to defend, not start things, to defend. It's absolutely true. I love that.
Do you understand?
Yes!
Can you repeat that?
Oh, boy. What I mean is that we learn how to fight so that we won't have to. We strive to maintain peace in the universe.
Oh, I get it now. I think I can understand that.
We learn how to fight so we don't have to. We maintain peace in the universe. How is that not at the core of Goku's soul? That's literally Goku verbatim for the rest of his life. He learns his principles and understanding of morality day one with Master Roshi. That's something he didn't learn in the gravity chamber, something he didn't learn from Whis, didn't learn from anyone. This is or even King Kai. He learned this from Master Roshi, who said, here's how you need to view the world. And that's one of the reasons why Goku is such a strong character relative to Vegeta at the same time. While Goku's learning morality and hard work, what is Vegeta learning at this point in his life? He's a spoiled prince who's extremely talented, didn't have to work at it, and all he gets to do is destroy things. And destruction is encouraged, as opposed to Goku, to where destruction is discouraged. You need to do hard work. It's not about being flashy, people can see you. You need to be of service to others. You need to defend and fight for justice. That's amazing. That's amazing. And Goku is so quick to say, yes, sir. But that right there identifies Goku at his core about how he actually created his morality and his ethical standing and ethical foundation in the world. So Master Roshi's goated for that.
Didn't even need pictures.
So, we're ready now for the Turtle Hermit training?
Yes!
Are you boys sure that you're prepared for my rigorous training schedule?
Yes, sir!
Fine, then we'll warm up with a brief run. Follow me.
Hey.
All right, here we go. The warm up.
I heard Master Roshi's training was tough, but I haven't even broken a sweat yet.
Now halt. Good morning. I'm Master Roshi. I believe we spoke yesterday.
Of course, I recognize your voice from the phone. This is the delivery route I usually take. See?
All right, I think I've got it.
That's a whole lot of milk.
Yeah, I sure hope it's all for us, because I'm really thirsty.
Ready, boys? You can each take one of these crates to deliver across the countryside.
Ugh, we're delivering milk? Huh?
It's a good way to train our bodies.
Does that mean you're all going on foot?
Mm-hmm.
But, sir, I've got a helicopter.
Flying in comfort would hardly be training, now would it?
But every bottle has to be delivered by breakfast time.
Don't worry, my friend. I'll have them moving like lightning. Boys, come grab a crate.
Yes, sir. Master Roshi, how can milk delivery be training?
Just wait and see, kid.
Huh?
Now, let's take it easy for today. Why don't we skip the 3 miles to the first house on our list?
3 miles?
Skip? Huh?
Skip 2, 3, 4, skip 2, 3, 4, skip 2, 3, 4, skip 2, 3, 4, skip 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so day 1 of training. His first thing is to take them on an endurance run for 3 miles, skipping, holding a milk crate. Now, is this good, proper training? Sure, why not? It's the same as doing some running, right? So what they have is they have an isometric carry. They're holding this weight in their arms, so they're going to get some good bicep formation here, front shoulder for the stabilization, as well as the lat. Maybe the traps a little bit if they drop the weight, but keeping it nice and high to allow the knees to come up nice and high during the skip. And that's actually, pretty much like a pro tip. If they didn't have their knees doing the skip and have the knees come up and down, it'd be easy for them to kind of dog it, have the arms fully straight, and to be lugging in and walking this way, making the clanking. So it's actually pretty genius to say, hey, I'm going to hold it here nice and high to where it's off the thighs. I'm able to skip, which means I'm moving a little bit quicker. I'm improving my my stretch reflex against my calves to create good explosive force and a very, sub-maximal effort. But you're doing this over the course of time. It's going to train the calves, train the quads, train the hamstrings, glutes, hips, everything for stability, core stabilization as well. You have to work on keeping your shoulder blades retract to keep good posture here so it doesn't completely weigh you down. And it's also going to have the crate against your breath, against your diaphragm here, which makes it more difficult for breathing. This would be a pretty high level, skill for them to have to do. This wouldn't be an easy thing by stretching the imagination. I think any of us trying to do this for 3 miles would be absolutely gassed and dogging it. I'll tell you right now, that'd be pretty tough. It's hard to know exactly how much that milk crate is. I would argue that there's probably like a pint of milk in each one. It seems there's 6 of those actual milk glasses in there. So perhaps 6 pints, that's 6 pounds. The milk crate in itself might be 1 pound. So maybe it's about 7 pounds. It's probably not too crazy in terms of weight. I don't think they're doing anything that's really too outlandish. But they are having to do this as a weighted carry. That's solid training.
Skip 2, 3,
How much
4,
further,
skip.
Master?
Only 2.5 miles. Skip 2, 3,
What you'll notice
4,
is
skip
Roshi
2,
once again is
3,
skipping
4, skip 2, 3,
Skip
4.
2, 3, 4. Skip 2, 3, 4.
Skip, skip, skip.
Come on, Krillin. We can't have stragglers. Good. We're off to a good start. Now for the next 2 miles.
You mean there's more?
Of course there is. Here, how about we zigzag between the trees along this path?
Didn't he tell the boys? We're going to push beyond your limits. You're going to push beyond your limits over and over and over. He tells them, you must push beyond your limits. And for Krillin to be like, what? There's even more? It's like, yeah, we got to get to your limit. And once we find it, push beyond it. Real hard work. This is very good training.
Zigzag? What's that?
When you're ready, go! And now zigzag!
Now they're able to run.
With me, boys! Zig, two, zag, four! Zig, two, zag, four!
I gotta say, that's pretty crazy though, right? 2 miles, but you've got a zigzag, zigzag. Now, I think what's pretty cool is looking in the distance there, I don't see any more trees after a certain point. Looks like the pathway is free of it, but at least initially, they're doing more than 2 miles. It might even be 3 miles at this point doing the zigzag. But once again, they're able to run, right? So he's saying, look, skipping gets more challenging. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with 3 miles of skipping. And then when you're a certain level of tiredness, reduce the intensity a little bit and the load. And we're going to reduce the distance. So it went from no longer having to skip, you can just run, which obviously is faster than the skip. So it's easier. They have, it looks like maybe 2 milk cartons that have already been dosed out. So I think they have maybe just 4 filled now. So the crate is a little bit lighter, right? So easier to hold. And the distance is shorter, 2 miles instead of 3, right? So that's a good way to taper down to maintain intensity without them getting too overloaded, especially at the very beginning. So that's actually pretty smart.
Zig, two, zag, four! Zig, two, zag, four!
Zig 2, Zag 4. Krillin, you're a genius.
Zig, two, zag, four!
Zig 2, Zag 4. Zig 2, Zag 4. Zig 2, Zag...
Krillin!
Now start over, sir.
So a couple things there. Obviously, Krillin is starting to realize, hey, I can use my brain to kind of get by. But when Roshi's there, he didn't admonish him for, obviously using some sort of clever tricks when he was able to outsmart Goku to get the rock. But now he's here. And Roshi obviously represents 2 things. He is both the lion and the fox, which is why he's able to teach these boys, right? He's both stronger than both of them, and he's wiser and smarter and more clever. And so he's able to look at Krillin and say, okay, can't outsmart me, kid. You're still a kid. And I'm sure anybody who's been watching this who has kids, your kids try to outsmart you. It's not too successful, right? They have no idea. They think they're clever, but they're not. So now Krillin's realizing, hey, there's no way to get around this. I have to just do the work. So now he's like, dang, maybe I was able to shine in the test before to use my wits, but now it's just sheer grit and moving our body. Goku's going to have the advantage. So it is what it is. Other point is, did Roshi yell at him? Did he admonish him? Did he say, you're so stupid, don't ever do it again? No, he just said, Krillin. And Krillin knew, and he runs backwards. He's like, oh, shit, let me get back in line. Let me go redo it again. And then what does he do? He just smiles because kids are going to be kids. That's what they do, right? Kids are going to mess up. They don't need to be taught as much as they need to be reminded. So he's able to keep a good, happy demeanor about himself and understand as a wise man, you don't get upset with stuff like that. Kids try to use tricks and you kind of just laugh like, where do you think you're going? Get your butt back over there, right? But he smiles because it's funny and, hey, 2 points for trying. It just wasn't successful.
Here's your new home, Mr. Bottle.
If you don't move your legs faster, Krillin, the milk is going to curdle. Krillin, did I say that you could rest? That's better. You've earned a break from running. We're going to climb a few stairs instead.
Finally, I can catch my breath and take it easy. A few steps. I may have been hasty when I said Master Roshi's training wasn't so tough.
Why can't I drink the milk?
There's nothing more relaxing than the fresh air of nature. Well, it looks like even Goku has his limits.
Master, Roshi, couldn't I go faster with the Nimbus Cloud?
Would that challenge your abilities, Goku?
I guess not. It's just that I'm so tired of climbing stairs.
Did you know Ox King and your grandfather Gohan used to carry crates up these mountains all the time, and not once did they ever complain to me.
What? My grandfather delivered milk here? Like me? I'll meet you at the top, Master.
And this is an absolute gem. You know, one of the most powerful things we can do is reframe circumstances to better fit our own motivations and our own internal inspirations. For example, Goku holds his grandfather in super high regard, right? He loves his grandpa Gohan. He misses him, and he would listen to anything he would have said. And Goku being completely exhausted, climbing all these crazy stairs after doing 3 miles of skipping. And he's got, 2 miles of zigzags and running. And now he's going to this crazy staircase, which is probably a mile high into the sky. He went from feeling extremely exhausted to hearing an anecdote about his grandfather to all of a sudden feeling energized. Now, why is that? Because it's the same reason why Ronnie Coleman, the famous bodybuilder, would put 800 pounds on a barbell that he's going to back squat and then say, lightweight, ain't nothing but a peanut. Why? Because you reframe things to fit into your world. So instead of saying these stairs are challenging me, no, I get to use these stairs to benefit me. Just hearing that his grandfather had done these stairs back in the day, that he had used them as a way to make himself strong, him looking up to his grandfather, he was like, wow, my grandfather did these kind of things. I want to be just like him one day. So if I do this, will I be as strong as him? I get a chance to honor my grandfather. I want to be as close to him as possible. And that is what gave Goku that enthusiasm to all of a sudden climb the stairs. And now he's going from being like, I'm so tired. Why can't I take the Nimbus cloud to get up to, I can't wait to do more steps. And it's every man's responsibility to figure out what that trigger is for yourself. You got to find out what actually gets you motivated to want to do more than you should be doing, right? You can think to yourself, man, every time I do a workout, do I have to do these reps? Or you can think to yourself, I get to do these reps because look what I get to become as a result. Look how much stronger I will be. That's something that Arnold Schwarzenegger was actually very good at. He loved working out. And one of his things he said in his very famous Pumping Iron movie was every rep he did was a chance to make his body look better. Every rep he did was a chance to get stronger, to look more aesthetic. So it was an opportunity. Every rep was an opportunity. So he didn't want to skip reps. He wanted to do longer workouts because each one he knows is tempering his body, getting him to another level above his competition. Goku just reframed himself. And Master Roshi is an absolute genius to know Goku well enough to say, okay, I know how he feels about his grandpa. I know who he would listen to. Let me go ahead and use him, his grandfather Gohan, as an anchor point to inspire him to now be the one who's hunting as opposed to the guy who feels like he's being hunted. And we can honestly say that Goku walking up the stairs, anytime you're tired, exhausted with a workout, you just went out. It's like you're trying to escape. You're running away from the workout. This workout is hunting you and you're running away, as opposed to, wait, I get to become great by doing this. All I got to do is climb these steps. These steps are mine. Now you're hunting the workout. Now you're hunting the work. And that reframing is literally the difference between guys who are good, great, and genius level. The geniuses all reframe. Michael Jordan would always reframe. He had, that documentary he had, The Last Dance. He mentioned that there were a few times when he said that he heard someone in the opposite team call him a nobody, like, oh, Michael, that's all you got, saying something under his breath. You ain't got nothing. We're going to crush you in these playoffs. And Michael said he would go home and he would meditate on those thoughts, like, this guy just said what to me? Oh, and he got this anger. And he's like, when I come the next day, I'm going to crush him. Then the next day he'd show up and he'd drop a triple-double. And they interviewed the guy who Michael Jordan said was talking ish about him. And the guy was like, I never said anything to Michael. What are you talking about? I didn't say a thing. And they'll go back and pan back to Michael Jordan. He's like, yeah, maybe I didn't. He didn't say anything. But I wanted that fire. I need something to spur me on. And Michael Jordan would play head games with himself every single night. He would reframe things. Same thing that Tom Brady said. Tom Brady said he had to find reasons to be mad and be angry. So he had a reason to want to crush the competition. And Tom Brady is clearly the GOAT of football altogether. So the people at the highest level know how to master their minds and reframe things. And that's the skill that every man must learn. And for Master Roshi to do it so subtly and so effectively that it instantly turned Goku from being exhausted to now motivated, That's very special.
Mm-hmm. Worked like a charm. Good job. You're halfway there.
I could have sworn I was at least 3 halfways there. Each step feels like my last.
My grandfather would never stop.
I love that. Krillin says, each step feels like my last, but then Goku was saying, my grandfather would never stop. That's G. We all have a trigger like that somewhere in our bodies where we know if we can just push that trigger and identify what it is, we can keep ourselves motivated and inspired to do anything. And that's a beautiful way to outline that.
I can't let Goku humiliate me again. I gotta make it all the way.
So that's another reframing. Now for Krillin, you hear that? He went from thinking like, I can't do this anymore, to him saying, wait a second, I might not have the motivation from anybody else, but I can't let Goku get too far ahead of me. So what Krillin is doing, he's actually anchoring on the reframing of the rival. And this is something that people have done since the beginning of time, right? That training partner that you have. Always wanted to keep up with your training partner, always wanted to best your training partner, be stronger than them, faster than them, more competent than them, perform better, win the championship over them. That rivalry is something that brothers have always done. It's a tales all the time. Everything from, Thor and Loki all the way to, and any combination of brothers who have always competed with each other to try to get stronger. Your Naruto's and Sasuke's. It's been done 1,000 times. But Krillin is anchoring on that. Like, you know what? I can't let him get too far ahead. I must catch up to him. That's a very strong motivator. So for him, instead of thinking like, hey, I'm too exhausted, now he's like, I need these steps so he can't get away from me. I must close the distance. Now he's on the hunt. He's on the hunt. So very, very important and a very, very profound mindset switch for these two.
At the top, at last.
Delivered before breakfast.
Thank you. Would you like a cup of milk, friends?
I do! Ouch! Why did you make my head ouch like that?
You don't give milk, then take it back?
Oh, no thank you.
So what Master Roshi is also doing is the art of the gentleman. He's teaching Goku that manners matter. You can't just go off the hinges and always just act any way you want to. Oh, that milk is mine. I can have some. Like, no, you need to learn etiquette, manners, social norms. You need to find ways to be a better man. And a better man wouldn't try to take something he just gave. He would have composure. He would have poise. He would have, how would you say? He would have a dignity within himself to expect higher things from himself and to comport himself like a gentleman. So that's also a big deal that Master Roshi, like, hey, look, don't be incompetent. Don't be insolent. Don't be an idiot. Okay. Learn how to be smart. And oftentimes guys learn by getting their heads whacked. I know we might think to ourselves, it's kind of bad that Master Roshi whacked him with a staff. It's very effective. It's very effective. I can't tell how many times my dad would tell me to do something, whack me in the back of the head. Well, yeah, it got my attention and it worked. And I think being so, cautious, like, oh, we can't touch him, let's just talk to him. No, that's not how guys communicate. Guys, we need the sense knocked into us, as we might say. And Goku, with his hard head, that's absolutely clear.
Master Roshi, it's been ages since you've trained.
Yes, it has. It's nice to see you again.
Always nice to visit with old friends. How is the training of these young ones going?
It's too early for me to say, really. But I think that they are showing great promise.
Did you hear that?
Great promise!
If they get themselves in gear, they'll be ready for the World Martial Arts Tournament.
Oh, that's only 8 months from today.
The World Martial Arts Tournament?
What is that?
Are you saying you never heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the greatest fighters in the whole wide world meet up and compete with each other to determine who's the absolute best.
The absolute best? That's great!
Well, Master Roshi, will we really be ready to fight?
Only if you boys train diligently.
Sounds like quite an incentive.
Yay!
See, that's genius. So on top of their training, their own natural motivations to finish the training, he's also saying, look, let's give you a little bit of a carrot too. I want you guys to enter the World Martial Arts Tournament. I want you guys to compete with the top dogs, right? And someone like Goku is always trying to test his strength, enthusiasm to the roof. Someone like Krillin, who also wants to be strong enough to regain his honor, let's say, from all the times the guys at the Oran Temple kicked his butt. He's like, cool, I get a chance to prove it to him because I'm training with the strongest guy. So even that carrot is enough to say, you know what, let's also reframe. This training isn't something that's happening to me as a punishment. This is going to make me invincible just like you, Master Roshi. I'm going to be a champion just like you, Master Roshi. And we all need something like that. And I'll tell you right now, if I was a kid and I was in this exact same circumstances, man, I'd work my fingers to the bone if I knew that I could somehow be the greatest of the world. Martial arts tournament, learning from the best in real time.
But you will not go in there with hopes of winning the tournament the first time you compete. To do so would be arrogant, and arrogance is for fools, not warriors. So you will enter the tournament with the sole purpose of improving your fighting skills.
I can't wait. This is going to be so exciting.
So that's also extremely important. Once again, he's reiterating the fact, I don't want arrogance to be the fuel of your martial arts journey. Martial arts is about mastering yourself, making yourself as physically capable as you can by pushing your physical limits, making yourself as intelligent and as mentally strong as you can by pushing your limits, and then also enhancing and expanding your spiritual energy by also pushing to your limits. That is more of a spiritual, physical, and mental progression and self-development, self-mastery. Martial arts tournament is just something that happens as a byproduct of you being on that journey. But that's the only way to save yourself from allowing martial arts to make you arrogant. You know, if you're doing something for the reward, you know, I think it's like, who says that? Alan Watts, the very famous philosopher, he says, if you're doing the thing for a result in the future, then you're not doing the thing. And that's absolutely profound. If you're doing this training to win at the martial arts tournament, then you're not doing the training. You're just trying to get to the tournament. But if you're doing the training the way you need to, the martial arts tournament is something you'll be ready for naturally. You don't have to aim for it. Aim for your own progression. And then that comes as a perk. And I'll tell you right now, as an adult, it makes total sense. I tell my clients all the time, you know, the goal isn't to just try to get your body fat where it needs to be and, you know, to fit in those clothes. Yeah, those are great in all short term, but that should just be a byproduct of you doing the right things. And those are just ways to measure that you're on the right track. But the goal isn't the measurement. The measurement is the goal, if that makes sense, right? So you want to make sure that you are always trying to improve yourself in the area that you've chosen. And then good things should happen as a result, as opposed to aiming for that one thing, to where people are willing to cheat, lie, steal just to achieve it.
And by then, we're gonna be so strong.
Not if they don't finish delivering the rest of the milk today.
Respect Master Roshi.
Yes.
See, respect. I love that.
Careful, boys. One foot in front of the other. Now balance, balance. Concentrate. And
Okay, so this is the big deal. Now they're doing some balance training. Now, why would this be useful? And in what way would you do this? To be good at moving your body for any sort of sport, you've got to know where your body is in space. I'm sorry, it's really that simple. If you don't know where to put your body in space and where your body is at all times, even if your eyes were closed, then you're going to be in trouble. You have to know where your body is in space. Your own proprioceptive intelligence has to be high. In other words, if you know there's a log in front of you, if you can't walk straight because you will it to be, and you have to worry about your body doing something it's not supposed to do, even though you want to walk straight, then you got a problem. You got a problem. And the easiest way to correct that is to say, hey, walk across a beam to where you have no choice but to keep yourself walking straight and to trust your feet. Now, they can look left or right, but with those milk crates in front of them, I'm going to say this is kind of genius. They can't look down, can they? No, they can't. They can look left and right, but they can't look in front of their feet, which means when you look straight, you can walk straight. Now, what's interesting about that is any of us, if we knew we weren't on the side of a cliff and we said just walk straight, we'd have no problem doing it. But the fear factor is an issue. So he's teaching them how to remain calm under tense circumstances, keep their spirits calm, keep their minds clear, focus on what's going on, keep their eyes focused on what's ahead of them, remove distractions, and stay in alignment with their goal and to achieve their goal without allowing things like that fear to overcome you. I say this is pretty legit. I really do. And of course, it's no cardio.
Breakfast time is almost here.
Who cares about breakfast when you're falling down a pit?
I think I'm thirstier than he is.
Me too.
Hurry, boys. Step lively. Otherwise, this sand is gonna swallow you whole.
Now, this is another station training. Talk about gruesome. Anybody who's ever marched through high sand, and look for these little guys, it's really important. Obviously, the sand is soft enough to where it's getting to like their knees. So imagine how much sand you have to move with every single step, training your hips, especially your hip flexors, your top of your quads, your abs, absolutely draining the energy out of your calves. Your feet are going to be crazy sore from like they're going to cramp up. It's extremely exhausting and crazy hot temperatures. I don't know where they went to, but somehow they found a desert and it's got to be bacon house. And now they're also dealing with the temperature and they're learning how to say, no matter how challenging the circumstances are around you, keep your eyes forward and keep moving. And once again, Master Roshi is leading them by example.
Just
Gotta respect that.
think of the world martial
Right.
arts
Just think of the tournament. All up in here.
Stand firm, boys. Don't fall with the water.
All the greatest fighters in the world will be there.
I love that. That internal motivation, guys. It's not a surprise, or it's not like a coincidence that they're using these mental tropes and they're continuing to put this in the script when they're doing the training, because you have to. You have to find some sort of mantra, some sort of idealistic viewpoint that you can believe in that will keep you moving forward even when you're freaking exhausted. And that's what they're doing, right? Krillin's like, I've got to win at the martial arts tournament, right? Goku's like, yeah, I'm going to fight all the strongest fighters. So I got to prove myself. I got to prove myself I'm ready to be there. That allows you to engage in every single challenge with enthusiasm and with, we'll say gusto, right? And now this is even more challenging than the sand. It's the same as the sand, the difficulty, but now you actually have a current pushing you one direction. So that's a lot of asymmetrical loading on the outside. So for them walking with the water pushing across their left side, the right side, the right leg is getting all the brunt, trying to keep them over, most likely leaning into the waves to get themselves walking. So a lot of overload on one side, very, very difficult to do, very unsafe, but hey, it is training.
Not fall in with the water.
Must go faster, boys, if you don't want him to eat you alive. Hurry, hurry!
Now, this is the most dastardly, devious part of the training. When you're exhausted from 3 miles of skipping, 2 miles of zigzags and running, climbing up a mile basically of mountain stairs, all the way back across a wooden beam for balance, a sand desert, a water, a river with, right above a waterfall. And then now when you're freaking exhausted at the very, very end of your ropes, an all-out sprint. If anybody went to this training program, it would be absolutely crazy. You'd be a G if you could finish all this every single time. Like nothing would stop you, right? So this is definitely like a progressive overload kind of training. And at the very end here, when you're completely exhausted, to do a full, creatine phosphogenic energy source type of a sprint and use the energy system to drive your legs as fast as possible when you're completely cooked, that's pretty G. I gotta say, that's pretty G. That'd be crazy tough.
Good job, Goku. You too, Krillin.
I just barely made it.
Glad we're done.
What's that you say?
He's glad we're done.
With today's training, I mean.
Oh, please. That run was only early morning exercise. Now it's time for mid-morning exercises.
So you guys will notice too that even though Roshi didn't have a milk crate, he's not sitting down. He's not tired. He's just chilling. So it also tells them like, man, we got a long ways to go. So once again, I do appreciate, I love the fact that Roshi was able to lead by example, doing every single thing with them on their very first day to show, hey, look, this is 100% possible and there's still more to do.
You're going to try your hands at agriculture. for that man over there.
What?
Oh.
Excuse me, sir.
Agriculture. It's a big word that means playing with dirt.
Oh.
Of
Pretty
course,
much.
Master Roshi. Sure, that's fine.
Thanks, they'll be so happy. Come on, boys, time to get dirty.
First we're the milkmen, and now we're stinking farmers. We never did this at Orin Temple.
Well, you never did this at Orin Temple, which is also why you're so freaking weak. If you had done this at Orin Temple, it wouldn't be so tough. Probably wouldn't be here right now. It's case in point, a lot of times we can complain to ourselves like, oh, why do I got to do this kind of workout? My other trainer never made me do this. Well, that's also why you're training with me now, right? If your other trainer did their job, you wouldn't be training with me. So we can't use what you think you should do to get to the next level, because if you knew what to do to get to the next level, you'd be there. Therefore, allow yourself to defer to the master. If they tell you to do something, just freaking do it.
I think I'll just supervise.
Hold on there. Don't use the tools. This exercise is for the strength and dexterity of your hands, so of course it won't work unless it's done barehanded.
Oh, like with our fingers?
You betcha.
Okay, so this is pretty crazy. Let's just say this is definitely gonna be a lot more fantastical than anything you can really apply in real life. But where are they getting this training from? This is not just imagined out. For the longest time, Shaolin monks and different karate styles and kung fu styles and just styles of fighting all throughout the years have always done some sort of finger or hand smashing. That's always been the case. A lot of times it's done with maybe like a larger bowl. You're gonna have either sand in there, sand with rocks in there, just rocks. I think some martial arts might have even used, I think they also use like gravel or even glass sometimes with the hands covered, but you're basically jamming it through to try to build dexterity and strength in the fingers, right? A lot of old school martial arts would do things with the fingers, whether it be anything from, finger jabbing, which Bruce Lee was a huge proponent of, especially at the eyes, everything from that to grabbing people and being able to have enough strength to grab wrists. So before they understood like forearm training, they would used to just like jam their fingers and get their hand muscles as strong as possible. Now, it wasn't the most efficient because even though it looks cool and glamorized, a lot of people would just completely break their fingers and break their thumbs and their knuckles get all jacked up. A lot of those old school practitioners of Kung Fu and martial arts, their fingers used to look like freaking hammer time, all swayed everywhere. So it was pretty stupid. But the principle of trying to build dexterity in the hands and then also learning the grit to not want to give up, that is very old school martial arts. So I give them that. Now, in terms of actual application to the body, what are they actually doing here? Now, the swiping motion of kicking things back is going to work a few things. It's going to work your front shoulder here for the most part, as well as a lot of your forearm muscles and your tricep to be able to dig down into the dirt. Now, whether you're walking forward or walking backwards, like you can see that Goku was walking forward, Krillin is actually walking backwards. Doesn't really matter. You're still going to get that swiping throwback motion. So once again, you got front shoulder, tricep, and forearm hand muscles to dig in. Once you get from there, you're going to end up using a lot of your pulling muscles, mostly your lats, to actually swing and swipe the dirt behind you. So you're actually getting some pretty solid pulling muscles. I think it's a very inefficient movement. But hey, if you got to find some old school way to actually work your lat muscles without doing pull-ups, this would be a good place to start. So once again, this is obviously exaggerated, not going to get much actual training out of this, but the idea that they are using their arms in that particular matter, that motor pattern is actually, pretty cool. There's a little bit of validity to it, just very, very minimal. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. They're also developing lower back strength, core strength, being able to hold themselves in pretty much like a parallel position. The fact that they're tiny guys, I think, helps tremendously. They're not, they don't have to bend over very much to get to the ground. They're pretty much there. It looks like they're pretty much up to their knees in this kind of stuff. So they're almost like at a 45-degree angle with their torso, being able to get it done. They'll build some leg strength from it, whether they're walking forward. If they're walking forward like Goku, they can get more hamstrings and glutes. If they're walking backwards like Krillin, they're going to get a little more quad drive with the toe and the base of the foot kind of pushing themselves backwards, much like a forward lunge versus a reverse lunge, or a walking lunge, is what Goku's kind of doing moving forward. But yeah, this is definitely more fantasy than anything else.
Beautiful day, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, fingernails are gone.
So, ready to quit, Krillin?
No.
See, Master Roshi is a genius. He knows exactly what to say.
I
Clever
gotta
fox.
say, those boys work like tractors.
Master Roshi,
Stop with the tingling.
we finished it.
That's excellent work, boys, but you must learn to move faster. The amount of land you till will increase every day. Now, who wants breakfast?
Ooh, hungry.
Now, right there is the true heart of progressive overload. The amount that you have to till will increase every single day. So once again, you can define your workouts as you performing work. Work is defined as a force moved across a certain distance. So force across distance is work. If you're increasing the distance each time, you're increasing the work each time. Makes sense, right? It's also progressive overload. You're now doing more distance, which is like more repetitions. It'd be the same as saying, if you were to measure that every time you do a bench press, you're going to go from arms fully extended. Let's assume that for your body, that's 2 feet, 24 inches, all the way to chest touching the bar and back forward again. That means for every 1 rep, you're doing 2 feet, which is 24 inches, times 2, which is going to be 48 inches. That's a measurement of distance. If I tell you to do an additional rep, you're adding an extra 48 inches to the actual work that your arms are doing, right? Everything comes down to work. It's all quantifiable. And so for him to say, hey, your distance will increase every single day, that's progressive overload, pushing past their limits, never letting them get settled into a rhythm, never letting themselves get settled into complacency. You must always do more. It's high-level coaching. And to be honest, progressive overloading is I would say, the number one way for the general public to train themselves, to make themselves stronger. It's a basic principle of human development. Increase the weight incrementally over the course of time so your body has a chance to adapt and to rise up to that challenge.
Grr, give me a chicken and I'll eat it raw.
And you guys notice too that they did all this work and then they're rewarded with food.
Hurry up so it doesn't get cold, you guys!
Right? Food becomes a reward, not something that you are deserved. And I love that principle.
Wait
You do
for
your work first,
Roshi!
then you get the treat. You do your workout, then your body gets stronger.
Let's say our grace first, then we'll eat all this food, okay?
Our grace first!
And they're grubbing, man. That's a good feeling.
Each day we'll be hitting the books from now until lunchtime. A strong body is pointless unless you know how to use it. And that takes brain power.
Oh, but I don't have that.
So the Wonder Boy has a weakness.
So as you guys can see, from day one, Master Roshi was like, we must make you smarter. Goku, it's not enough to just have the brawn. You must also have the brains. And so since the last competition, Goku was able to be in the lead of Krillin because he was naturally more physically gifted. He's the lion. Now we're into the fox's territory. But Master Roshi wants them to develop both. If your weakness is you're not physically strong enough, then you will do the labor. If your weakness is you're not intelligent enough, I will train your brain. So he doesn't let Goku just skirt by. He doesn't say, you know what, because you're insanely strong, I'll just teach you more martial arts moves and you'll be good. I say, no, you must train your brain. You must be a smart man. You must be both a fox and a lion. I love this principle. This is absolutely true.
First off, literature. Goku, please read from page 14.
Oh. Ooh, Susie, that tickles. What if they find us here? Said Bill, but Susie did not stop, holding his foot lightly
Yo,
in her
Roshi is
hand.
wild, man. Make him read that.
And that means X would equal... Oh, wait. I spell X.
Maybe it's time we had lunch.
Yahoo!
Yes, we'll spend this hour on good old napping. Work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. That's the Turtle Hermit way to learn.
I love that. Work hard, study well. That's the Turtle Hermit way. Work hard, study well. That's the Turtle Hermit way. That is very, very important to understand. You know, that principle, I would say, is 100% true. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it. That principle is 100% true. You got to be able to work hard and you got to study well. You have to take your craft seriously. You know, you can't say that you're a master, that you really care about your craft if you're not disciplined enough to learn everything you can about it, which means no stone unturned, which means if there is a way to gain the advantage by improving your mindset, why would you not explore that path? You can't simply rely on your strengths. You must also be able to branch out to cover your weaknesses. Now, I will say this as a fact. The idea behind self-development is very, very simple. And this has been a gem of wisdom that's been passed down since the beginning of time. Your job is to continue strengthening your strengths. You don't need to strengthen your weaknesses. The idea is to strengthen your strengths, but then not to have any weaknesses. There's a difference, right? You don't have to be good at everything. You just can't suck at anything. So what I would say is this. If Goku is naturally strong, continue to build that strength, but then just make sure your competency level is not a handicap. It doesn't have to be at the highest level of your actual physical capability. You can't let your intellect be a handicap. You can't suck at it, okay? That's also far different from saying make your weaknesses your strength. That's absolute BS. You should never do that. You should always be focused on trying to make your strength stronger, because why not lead into your natural talents? It'd be foolhardy and a waste of time to try to invest as much time into something that's a weakness as something that's already a strength. You have your strengths, use your strengths. That's what smart men do. But make sure that the weakness you have isn't a weakness. Just let it be neutral. You just can't suck at it. That's a very good point.
Hey, Master,
What's up?
are there gonna be a lot of really strong fighters at this tournament we're in?
Oh, you bet. This tournament is like a big magnet for all the greatest fighters across the globe.
I can't wait.
Some people spend their whole lives training just to make it through the qualifying round.
So, what if while we're lying in our hammocks, someone else out there is training and getting stronger than us? How do we know?
The truth, Goku, is that we can't know. But I think you'll find that everyone, even the strongest warriors, need their shut-eye.
That is an absolute timeless wisdom from Master Roshi. Absolutely timeless. You know, for the longest time, you know, I've been a trainer for 20 years. I've always been preaching on how important it is to get sleep. And, you know, me being hard-headed, I didn't take it serious myself. I was averaging about 4.5 hours of sleep. And that was all through my 20s, even my early 30s. I was always just getting minimal sleep. I was like, yeah, I don't really need it. But then you realize that, you know, there are no biological free lunches. You can't escape the physiological realities that your body requires sleep. I would even argue that sleep is king. Sleep is the most important thing. Now, why is that? Because sleep is the only way you get the reward. That's how you cash out the casino, is sleep. When you guys are training your bodies, you're beating your bodies down into the dirt. You're breaking them apart, literally breaking them apart. That's why you're so tired and exhausted. Sleeping is how your body grows and puts itself back together stronger than last time. So if you're not taking your sleep seriously, then you're not going to get stronger than last time. You'll always just be under recovered and you'll always feel haggard down your body, and you're just wasting time training because you're not developing. So I love that Goku, you know, asked as a kid, which is a very smart question at that young age. You know, like, if we're sleeping and taking a nap, doesn't that mean that our competition is just out there getting stronger? Aren't we wasting time? And then Roshi puts it very simply, without being long-winded about it. He's like, you know what, Goku, I think you'll find out that even the strongest fighters, they need their sleep. It's true. You have to sleep to rest. If you are unable to rest, you cannot recover yourself and feel stronger than you did the last time. Progressive overload demands that you sleep to recover. Pushing beyond your limits demands that you sleep to recover. Sleep is king, and you must be able to cycle both your training, your eating habits, and your lifestyle around getting optimal sleep. That is the absolute fountain of youth and the fountain of performance. Yeah, Good old-fashioned shut-eye. We all need it.
And this will be your mid-afternoon training. Construction work helps with balance and muscle size, and could earn you boys some extra dollars on the side.
You sure these kiddos can work? They look a little small for a pickaxe.
So you hear what he said. Master Roshi said this is about construction work's going to help you build balance and muscle size. Balance and muscle size. So let's see if that's true.
Oh, just wait. Once you see these two work, you'll want to pay them 5 times the typical salary.
5 times? You must think I'm a fool.
Well, let's wait until you see them before we decide that. Start digging, boys!
Do we still have to use bare hands?
Not this time, Krillin. Just no power tools, okay?
Workforce keeps getting younger.
What are they?
Turn up the motor, boys, or you'll never make it to the tournament!
So before we see Goku accelerate like an insane madman, okay, balance and muscle size. I think the beauty of the training that he's doing here, yes, there's always some balance involved because now you're doing rotational movements, right? So having enough balance to be able to drive the shovel into the ground, rotate it off the other side, and be able to maintain your center of gravity. There's balance training in that. Being able to hold the wheelbarrow and shovel, and transport large quantities of dirt. There's certainly balance in that, right? Everyone knows who's ever used a wheelbarrow before. If you don't balance it, you're not going anywhere. To use the steamroller here, of course, there's a fair bit of balance in terms of leverage to know how far you should be leaning forward. So you can continue to move the cylinder, but if you lean forward too much, it might fall on your face. If you lean back too much, you can't move it. So you got to lean forward enough just to make sure you have the right application of force there. Yeah, so there's some balance training in it. I would say that's going to be a byproduct. I wouldn't say that's one of the main principles of what they're doing. I think the most important principle they have is, for one, the rotational stuff with shoveling. Hugely important for anyone who gets into martial arts. You got to be able to have 2 things when it comes to rotational force. You must be able to apply good rotational force from your center line. That's how you have power both for punches and kicks. And you got to be able to decelerate rotational force. That could be anything from you pulling your kick back, pulling your punch back, being able to block something and absorb impact, and knowing how to move your center of gravity. Hugely important. Now, in terms of building muscle mass, yes, you can say that the digging with a shovel, that's going to help to develop the arms a bit, right? Especially in this, old school way. And mind you, back then, even when this was about 1986 over in Japan, this is, stationed to be more like rural Japan, so country bumpkin stuff. Yeah, they're not really lifting weights the way we do in America. But in terms of will it develop muscle mass? Yeah, of course, because you're lifting loads and chucking them. So you'll definitely get some really dense muscle. It won't be very large, but you will get very strong, dense, functional strength from this. I would argue 100%. Like if I had a list of things I would have someone do to say, look, you got to go work on a farm or a construction site, and there's only a few things you can do to make yourself stronger as a martial artist. Oh, for sure, shoveling will be in it too. You'll also see ice picking later on, being able to drive down and drive in like this. Fantastic, like wood chopping, great for the core, great for coordination, being able to apply power at the hips, balance, stability. Those are all fantastic movements. Wheelbarrow running, that's actually good old-fashioned farmer boy strength. I mean, talk about getting yourself insanely strong is being able to hold the wheelbarrow and move yourself forward and keep your core in alignment. I mean, that's going to cook you. And then, of course, running with this is like a sled drive, right? Absolutely amazing. So in terms of raw functional strength, even though I wouldn't necessarily say the primary factors are balance and muscle building, those are byproducts, but I would say functional strength, leg force production, rotational strength, and core strength and density of muscle, I think 100% is highlighted here. So even though his metrics might be a little bit off, I 100% approve of the training. applying power and speed, putting the heart rate up.
Stay with it, old buddy. Stay with it until you can beat them.
I love that. Stay with it, old buddy. Stay with it until you can beat them. Reframing, guys. Gotta play mind games. Gotta play mind games.
Okay, you win.
You're such a miserable runt. I can't believe the master wastes his time on you. Come on, little Krillin. Don't you want to fight?
Oh, look, he almost dodged it.
Don't worry. There's always the circus.
So that's why the master kept him. He makes such an excellent punching bag.
See, stuff like this you always remember, right? And that's why bullying, I would argue bullying for the most part is a good thing. I was just like Krillin when I was a kid. Shortest kid in my class, little bald head kid just like this. I got picked on all the time. I'm getting asked, siblings, best friends, I always got picked on. I was like the one guy that everyone wanted to mess with. And my dad told me, look, you're not able to start a fight ever. Never the one to initiate the first punch. However, if someone does push you or punch you, I want you to break his nose. That's what he would tell me. True story. And I got into a lot of fights when I was a kid because I was always so tiny. I looked just like Krillin, I'm telling you guys. And if I didn't learn how to stick up for myself, if I didn't have a reason to want to get stronger, let's imagine that Krillin never got teased. Everyone says, oh, you're perfect how you are, perfect little snowflake. Guess what? I wouldn't grow. I wouldn't get stronger. I wouldn't find that extra level of my manhood that's been waiting to be expressed. Because I'll tell you this right now, if you're that young getting picked on, there's a lion or a tiger in you that's waiting to be unleashed. And oftentimes we need circumstances to bring those out. That's just how life works. In order for my muscles to be stronger than they are now, I have to push them to a point of the extreme to where they're in pain. Then they say, wow, I don't like that pain. Let me go ahead and adapt to what just happened, make myself stronger, more resilient in the future so that I have less pain in the future. That's why your muscles grow. That's why your body gets stronger, because of the pain. So as men, we need pain at a young age. As a boy, we got to go through the pain and suffering because that's going to cause you to get stronger. And all that pain and suffering he went through then, what does he do? He goes to Master Roshi's. He amplifies it 1,000-fold. Then he finds himself stronger than everyone. That right there isn't a tale of a boy who's getting beat down. It's a tale of a champion. That's a tale of a guy who's willing to go to that dark place to become stronger, which is what we want all men in society to do, right? We want a society that's filled with men who are capable and strong. Well, to get there, we got to go through tough stuff so that when tough things happen, we know how to act, right? Like if you want guys to be able to rush into burning buildings, to save children, if you want people to be able to stay behind on the Titanic while it goes down and make sure women and children leave, if you want someone to be able to, beat up a guy who's trying to mug a woman, that guy, in order to go through that crazy stuff, had to have gone through other crazy stuff in his lifetime to be ready for that moment. Does that make sense? So we want men to go through tough stuff. So you got to let bullying be what it is. Now, if it gets excessive to the point where the boy, he's overbullied and he actually can't fight back and he's unable to get that fortitude, then it's okay to step in to ease it. But to stop it altogether, I think it's a problem. I think in society nowadays, one thing that we can all agree on is there are plenty of people out there who just, you can tell, you look at them like, man, you've never gotten punched in the face, have you? I think you just need one slug to the face and you have a completely different viewpoint on life. That's true. So as a boy who was just like Krillin, who got picked on by guys taller than me all the time, who then got stronger, and now even in my age right now, can whoop all their asses, no problem. That's something that you have to develop into. It's necessary, right? And so that's just a necessary progression of men. And I love that Krillin is using this to reframe his mindset. Not only does he want to keep up with Goku, but he's like, keep at it, old boy. You got to show them. You got to show them that you're tougher. You got to show them that you're not a punk. You got to show them that you can beat them. That was me. That was me as a young kid.
All right. I'll pay whatever wage you want for them.
After the sweat you boys worked up at that last site, I'm having you jump in the lake.
What? You mean there's more?
Of course. Isn't the sun still up?
Master, when are you going to start teaching us fighting moves?
Now don't get jumpy. There are certain basics you need before learning martial arts, and you boys aren't there yet. Now I will be delighted to teach you the secrets of martial arts just as soon as you're strong enough to move this rock.
Now, before we get to the movement of the rock, he's right. At a young age, you're always looking for the fancy thing, right? You're thinking there's some sort of like secret formula, an amazing hand technique that flows out this way, or some sort of special kick hitting the certain pressure point in the human body that's going to give you an advantage, when that's actually not martial arts. That's what Bruce Lee would call dry land swimming, or what Miyamoto Musashi would separate as the flower as opposed to the fruit. Roshi is treating them and teaching them how to acquire the fruit of martial arts, not the flower, right? And so right now, Goku, in his young age, has no idea. And he's like, hey, when are we gonna teach us about the flowers? And Roshi's like, look, you know nothing about that. You need to understand how to acquire the fruit. You don't know what you're talking about. And he's absolutely right. And later on, that'll be abundantly clear.
What? Move that thing? Well, I don't mean any disrespect, Master, but that's impossible.
Oh, really? Impossible, is it? Well, if you two stop complaining and stick with my program, one day you'll be able to do this too.
Yes, Master.
Now, why do I get the feeling that you missed the entire point of my lecture, Goku?
And I love that part about Goku. That's one thing that he has. I would argue his greatest advantage over Krillin is his disregard for overthinking. Now, I fall prey to overthinking. Like I said, I'm very much like Krillin. I would use my brains more than my bronze. I didn't have much at all when I was a kid. I had to build that up over time. But, you know, to be able to take the initiative and to take the risk is a sign of masculine maturity that every boy needs to figure out as soon as humanly possible. You know, life is too great to be so apprehensive to want to try things. And I love how Goku just jumps right in. He sees something, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to take the initiative. I'm just going to go for it, as opposed to thinking, can I do it? It looks too heavy. Like, why doubt yourself? The rock's not going to lie. If you're unable to move it, it'll tell you. But how do you know? How do you know? And Goku, up to that point, had no idea he could move that rock. Up until the point of Roshi doing it, in his mind, he probably knew he couldn't. But once he saw someone do it, he's like, hey, I'll give it a shot. The rock will tell me what I can do. Sure enough, he pushed it and he did just fine. So I think that's a very useful skill, you know, being able to take the initiative and just take action and be more of a doer as opposed to a listener or a watcher. I think is a huge benefit, an absolutely huge skill. And I think that's a sign of masculine maturity. 100%.
Hey, look, you can teach us now.
Krillin wants everybody to know he's speechless right now.
Oh, yeah? Well, that's my mistake. Guess I was in such a hurry that I pushed the wrong rock. I mean, anyone and his great-grandmother could push a rock of that size. There! That's the rock I meant. Once you move that, then you're ready for martial arts.
Whoa, that one's giant. Master Roshi, it just won't move.
Naturally, son. That all comes with dedicated training.
Can you move it then?
Of course.
Really? Come on, Master, let us see.
What do you say we do some training, huh? The clock is ticking, you know. The clock is ticking. Wait. Now I want you to...
See, Once again, part about being a smart man is knowing when to be a lion and when to be a fox. Right then, Roshi had to be a fox and be like, yeah, I can do it. Let's get back to training. Fair enough. Now, it's not clear that he couldn't do it, right? We've all seen him take that more muscular form, like when he shot the Kamehameha at Ox King's castle to, extinguish the fire unsuccessfully. Well, I guess he did, but he destroyed the castle. So we've seen a larger form from him. He does have the strength to do it. Maybe he just didn't want to do it at the time, but he was crafty enough to kind of skirt his way out. So would that just be more of a skill of conservation of energy? Either way, crafty old man.
Swim 10 laps, okay? And try not to splash each other in the eyes.
Yeah, wants him to swim 10 laps. I think we lost some audio here.
I guess Master Roshi's rewarding us for good behavior.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking a bath.
Oh, you better watch out, boys. There's some big fish in there.
Huh? What kind of big fish?
Sharks, mostly.
Did you feel that?
Feel what?
That's not a lap, Krillin. You forgot to touch the other side of the shore.
Are you kidding me?
See, I love that part too. As a coach, movement standards matter. If I say that point A to point B is from one side to the other, you got to touch it and come back. Even if you're in mortal danger, if you're tired, you got confused, hey, you didn't touch the line. Didn't give you credit for the lap. You got to get back over there because standards matter. I'm 100% as a CrossFitter, got to have standards. Otherwise, how can we measure things? How can we make things quantifiable? How do I know if you're actually improving at what you should be doing unless you cover the same distance? So say, for example, let's say that you say, hey, you know what, DJ, I know last week you told me to do 10 push-ups and I did 10 push-ups, but yesterday I was able to actually knock out 15. And I go, okay, great. Well, let's see them. And the first time you did push-ups, I saw you tap your chest to the floor and then lock out your elbows. Now you demo for me how you're able to do 15 just yesterday, and you're only stopping halfway. I did it. No, you didn't do it. You know why? Because you changed the distance. You changed what was actually being measured. So when you have to when you're trying to evaluate someone's progress, we got to know that given the same exact distance and work and load and intensity, were you able to exceed it? So we don't have the same amount of distance. It's a different amount of work, right? And if the work is different, I can't say that you actually did a push-up. You did a half push-up, but I've got to be able to see you do the exact same distance, have a movement standard, succeed, and do more reps than you did last time. Now I know you're progressing, right? It just makes things quantifiable. It's every scientific, method of being able to evaluate performance and to measure where you're at. So for him not to touch the side, he's like, yeah, that wasn't a lap. I said do a lap. You didn't touch the side. You get no credit. I'm all for that. I totally agree.
At least we're safe. Huh?
Hey! You haven't finished swimming!
So let's talk about swimming a little bit here. Now, swimming is tremendously beneficial for any athlete for multiple reasons. I would say the number one benefit of swimming is the fact that you're able to train your musculature, your cardiovascular system, your muscular endurance, your strength, your speed, your power production, your flexibility, your range of motion, your accuracy with your stroke, your ability to maintain good technique and good rhythm, all in a very low impact fashion, right? You're not landing on your legs, which creates shock waves that the foot and the legs absorb ground force production and have to be able to distill that in some sort of way, which, can cause a lot of deleterious effects on the legs, the hips, the lower back, etc. When you're swimming, you don't get any of that, right? Because it is essentially, extremely low impact because you're now floating. But you get a chance to challenge those systems in a different way to really work on your endurance without having the recoil. And then you can pretty much do swimming every single day and heal much faster than you could if you were doing running every single day. So it's a very, very viable way of training for energy system, so he gets full credit on that. Now, get to the other side, running away from the dinosaur, another full sprint, and then back into the pool. Now you're doing pool sprints plus land sprints plus pool sprints. He's turning him into CrossFitters. That's pretty beastie.
Now that's what I call motivation. Good job, boys. Are you ready for the next lesson? This exercise will test your reflexes and dodging speed.
Why'd you tie us up with rope, Master Roshi?
Sometimes when fighting, we get cornered and must dodge the enemy in a limited space. You see? Good luck, men.
Hold on. What are we dodging from?
Concentrate hard and you won't get stung.
Concentrate hard. Now, what's really funny about this? So, them avoiding these wasps, it looks like, is a chance for them to, what he said? He said to improve their reflexes and their dodging speed. Sure. Now, when it comes to fighting, it's extremely important to understand that principle number one of fighting is a martial artist needs to understand how to control the distance of the fight. Distance is the number one variable a person has to control. Now, why is that? Because you can't hit what isn't there. Very simple and plain, right? Being able to control the distance can keep you from taking damage. That makes it number one. Also, it allows you to move into your opponent's zone of conflict and actually inflict damage on them and also move out the way. So being able to go in and out, being able to dodge, being able to move, have good agility, good footwork is absolutely pivotal. I would say even number one for martial artists. So I like that they threw this one in. You know, you've got to be able to have good footwork, good agility, good perception of threats and danger, be able to dodge, parry, slip, bob, weave, whatever it's going to be, duck, to try to get away from danger. Now, of course, this is kind of silly because it's coming from all different directions, little bees and, wasps. You can't really evade all of them, but the principle of it is pretty darn sound. I think you definitely need to have good footwork, know how to control distance, move yourself around in space. Also, he has them tied to the tree, so they're unable to run away from the place. You've got to stay in that zone and learn how to stay, how they say, stay in the kitchen and deal with the heat. So I do like this.
Don't just run, dodge! Dodge! Concentrate, boys!
Damn, I got blasted.
Obviously, we'll have to work on your dodging ability. But on the bright side, you've completed your first full day of training.
Okay, so what's interesting here is, yes, Roshi did get stung, right? Now, the boys got a whole bunch of them. But I'd say that Roshi's technique worked, right? He was able to dodge effectively because you guys saw in the last scene, he had just about the same number of wasps above his head that he was trying to swat away. And he walked away with only one bump. It's pretty darn good, right? Like, the odds of you guys will have a fight to where you're able to evade every single punch or take 0 damage, the probability of that is extremely low, right? But if you can actually be within the same threat danger and threat level of that many potential, things from wasp and only get one, I'd say it's expert level. That's pretty darn good.
Master, please say our training isn't going to be this difficult every single day.
Of course not, Krillin. It will be much more difficult. For the next few months, you'll be doing the exact same training schedule as today. But you'll be wearing these stylish 50-pound turtle shells.
Yeah, I love it. Progressive overload at its finest. So not only are you going to do the exact same amount of work, not only will the work increase in some areas, like, whether it be more farm work, more construction work, you're also going to wear a 50-pound weighted turtle shell. Now, that'd be the same as wearing like a rucksack, right? So we do a lot of ruck running. For a lot of things in CrossFit, you might wear like a weighted vest that's, anywhere between 10 to 20 kilos. You're going to do pull-ups with it, push-ups, air squats, fantastic ways for actually building real muscle without having to without needing to go to a gym or needing equipment. You can do a whole lot with weighted stuff. So that's absolutely accurate to be able to weigh yourself down and do your runs weighted, do your swim. I mean, swims weighted is pretty crazy. I don't know who else is really doing that, but runs weighted, jumping, weighted, construction yard work while having this vest on you. I think that's hugely beneficial, especially for building bone density, strengthening the hips and the joints. Now, what I will say, though, it will cause a tremendous amount of fatigue because anytime you wear that much extra weight on your body, like these boys got to be pretty small, right? So, maybe they're 100 pounds each, right? So now you're going to add half their body weight. Now they're walking around with 1.5 times their body weight. Yes, it will train the body, but it also will require more sleep. So I'd argue that, it's on here, it wasn't very clear what time they go to sleep. We know what time they wake up, but knowing Master Roshi, I have a feeling they go to sleep when the sun goes down. They also have a nap in midday. So I'm assuming they're getting about 8 to 10 hours of sleep every single day, which is actually choice and key. You can actually take that much damage and that much brunt of weight as long as you have that much more rest to recuperate yourself for your body to recover and grow strong from. So I do like that.
Now, before the morning dew has left the ground, Goku and Krillin resume their rigorous training schedule with an added 50 pounds of turtle shells strapped to their backs. Each day, Master Roshi keeps the boys sweating by boosting their workload even more. The fields they run get longer. The mountains they climb get taller and taller. And yet, the two half-pint warriors endure because the World Martial Arts Tournament is fast approaching, and these boys are determined to fight at any cost.
Krillin, I was wondering.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about?
Why?
Huh?
Does that big mean dinosaur chase us everywhere we go?
And so, months on the island passed with relative calmness, and the strength of the boys increased. Fortunately, so did their speed. Before long, it seems Goku and Krillin will complete their basic training and be ready to learn Master Roshi's martial arts.
Yeah.
So they're working the butts off. Once again, a lot of progressive overload, longer distances each time, which means more work. So we're in the 50-pound turtle shell on their back, but you also see them outperforming, right? They're getting faster, they're getting stronger. They're actually able to swim faster than the sharks. And the beautiful thing about the human body is the human body's ability to just adapt. We can learn things. And without even knowing the science of it, we know that if you start running, eventually running becomes easier. And so you increase the distance. And that's how you go from being someone who's never run before, who gets gassed out running 400 meters, to someone who can run ultra marathons. It's just progressive, right? The human body works that way. The most unique function and most important function of the human body is the ability to adapt. And that's what Master Roshi is piggybacking on. So he's saying, you know what? I'm just going to make your bodies into absolute units and make you crazy strong through good old-fashioned hard work. And that is what you guys are going to learn from me.
Darn, that means I'll have to work.
More,
a lot of work, a lot of food.
More, please.
Yes, of course.
Oh, it's bomb, I gotta say. So a lot of protein, a lot of carbs. Good stuff.
It's an emergency!
What kind?
No time to talk. Just come with me.
Hey, can't we take it easy?
This is it. Look.
Yeah, it's a rock. What's your point?
You said if we moved it, you'd teach us fighting.
You remember?
I said that?
See? I moved it too. Almost as much as Goku did.
Now, that would be crazy impossible, right? But of course, it's Dragon Ball Z, so we can, Dragon Ball, so we can have fun in this universe. Yeah, they're pushing like a 50-ton rock. That's kind of crazy. But I think what's important here to understand is because they're accepting the challenge and trying to get themselves stronger, they're not going through their days in the training being like, oh, I'm so hunkered down. I'm so tired. This turtle shell is so heavy for me. No, they're using it as a chance to say, I'm just going to get stronger and stronger. Look, and it's paying off. They're actually testing themselves. So outside of what Master Roshi's having them do, they're still training themselves. Hey, can I push this? Can I move this? We saw a little while ago them running around the rock for no reason. That wasn't part of their training. They're just doing that because they're trying to get stronger and stronger. And that's also something very unique that a brother can do with you. I have that sibling rivalry, even like your best friend. And you guys can push yourselves to levels of performance that you otherwise wouldn't be even inspired to do on your own, right? So we all need something to keep going. I love that the boys did that. And the fact that you'll notice too, I would argue that Goku's strength was tremendously, I don't want to say light years, but he was far faster and far stronger than Krillin. But with all this training, Krillin said he can move it almost as far as Goku. That's pretty crazy because technically, based on the power scales, if Goku was able to do that, Krillin shouldn't be able to do it at all. Because when Goku moved the small one, Krillin looked at him like, that's impossible. I can't even touch it. And he pushed that small one all the way across. Now Goku did the big one, and Krillin did it too. Not as far, but did it too. That shows you that Krillin's been working on his strength, trying to match the Goku's, which means the training is working physically for him more than anyone else.
There! You get to teach us about fighting now!
Oh, yes. How nice. That rock thing was just a joke to keep them working. Guess I should have pointed at a mountain.
Real martial arts.
Finally.
Well, boys, I have almost nothing left to teach you about the martial arts.
What?
Master?
The whole secret behind the Turtle Hermit fighting style is the training schedule, which you've done every day. You boys don't seem to realize, but just by repeating these basic exercises over and over again, you've pushed your arms and legs and hearts and even your brains past their built-in limitations. That right there is the whole art behind martial arts.
But how are we supposed to win if we don't fight?
Well, you boys didn't come here to win. You came to learn. But don't sweat it. You know how to fight. It's just the utter expression of your strength. It's natural.
But aren't there special moves or tricks to win?
What? Is there an echo in here, Krillin? I just said winning wasn't the real point. This tournament is only another step in your training. It's an introduction. And that's the lowdown. There's no point teaching you special moves until you get the fighting experience. So keep training the same. But we're going to make it a little harder. Now you'll be wearing heavier turtle shells. They're twice the
weight. So there is a tremendous amount of wisdom here. What Master Roshi just admitted was that the whole point to doing and the whole secret to the Turtle Hermit way was the hard work, the discipline, and the strength building. Now, why is this so genius? Because this is actually how life really is. I've been a trainer for nearly 2 decades. A lot of times we might tell someone, hey, you need to improve your form, right? Which is another way of saying you need to improve your technique, right? If only I had better form or better technique on how to do a bench press, I'd be stronger, or better technique on a T-bar row, or doing a clean and jerk, or doing a snatch, whatever it is, technique. I'll tell you this right now that most people don't understand. In order to have good technique, you need to be strong, not the other way around, because technique means having the strength to hold certain positions while you move. For example, if your goal is to say, well, I want to be able to do a 400-pound back squat. Sure, that's a great goal. But if you don't even have the strength to keep your back straight with that much weight on your back, who cares about your technique? You wouldn't have any technique, right? If you can't maintain a certain posture, it's impossible to have technique. Technique is just an outer expression of being strong, and strength will always supersede technique. It's the reason why in boxing, MMA, we have weight classes, don't we? In wrestling, we have weight classes. Jiu-jitsu, a lot of times, weight classes. Why? Because weight matters. Because when someone is a certain size and a certain amount of mass and strength, it becomes unfair. In other words, someone with great technique who's lighter versus someone with less technique who's just bigger, we got to separate the two because it'd be unfair. The bigger person is going to win. Why? Because strength matters. That's always the number one foundation of the animal kingdom when it comes to combat, when it comes to adversity, is strength. And what Master Roshi did is something absolutely ingenious. He said, look, there's no reason to teach you techniques and stuff. That's not really a thing. You need to be strong. You need to have a baseline foundation of just being freaking strong. When you do that, you'll realize that you'll pass everyone else because you're so darn strong. You don't really need technique. And that's actually a thing. I can't tell you how many times people have broken world records in lifting or done things just because they're freaking strong, right? Because the idea about technique is saying, look, my strength is pretty much maxed out. I'm trying to get my productivity as efficient as possible to make the most out of what I have. But imagine if you're as strong as Superman. You think Superman has any technique? He needs technique when he throws someone? No, he's just strong. So being strong is the goal first. Technique is another method to help you get there and to be more efficient, more economical with your power production and your performance, and to also keep yourself safer. But if you're just freaking strong, you're just strong. There's no substitute for just being freaking strong. And that's the whole point. So what Master Roshi did was say, you know what? I'm going to teach you guys how to be strong. I'm going to prioritize strength over technique. I'm going to prioritize hard work over sparring. Now, why is that? Because how can you push past your limits in sparring? You can't. You're supposed to pull back. How can you push past your limits with technique? You can't. It's a technique. But how do you push past your limits with strength? All the time. How do you push past your limits with hard work? All the time. It makes it reasonable, makes it possible. And that's something that is extremely unique to the Turtle Hermit way. He's trying to say, you know what? You're not special. My martial art isn't special because you're not special. I'm not special. But guess what? We're going to do the work that no one else wants to do, which is why he kept hammering in so many times. You're going to learn how to push beyond your limits because that's the only thing you can control. And when you can push well beyond your limits and push yourself to a point to where you're frustrated, you're tired, you're exhausted, and keep on going, you become the best, right? We see this later on in, what is it called? One Punch Man, right? That's pretty much the whole satire to it. You got a guy who is a normal human who decides to put himself on a training program of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 bodyweight squats, and a 10K run every single day. So he's like, no matter, how tired you get or how beat up or sore you are and how much you don't want to do it, no matter how much your knuckles hurt, your body's ache, your joints ache, you just keep pushing through. And that fortitude will turn you into a champion. You work so hard, even your hair falls out. And now he's the strongest ever. Why? Because they're piggybacking off this exact same principle that Master Roshi taught Goku and Krillin from day one. Is strength, once again, always exceeds technique, and hard work always trumps sparring. It's not even useful. He just wants you to work hard. Now, later on, when you get more skills and become more experienced, he mentioned, then we can talk about technique. And that's something they learn later on. But initially, the foundation must be getting as strong as humanly possible. Then you will beat your competition. It's high-level wisdom here.
So what do you think, Goku? You think there's even a chance we won't get creamed at the tournament?
Who knows? Maybe all we have to do is pretend our opponents are like another day of construction work.
And he's actually right. Let's take that as an example. That's actually what Master Roshi is trying to say. When you fight, it's just another day of work. It's just another day in the office. Isn't that what he's trying to say? You shouldn't be training to win the martial arts tournament. The martial arts tournament is just a byproduct of what you already do every single day. So you just happen to be ready. You're already that guy. And he wants to instill that. Now, what's important about that is he likes to, I think Akira Toriyama did something very genius here. He juxtaposed those principles with another character in the Dragon Ball series, which is, of course, pretty boy, lover boy Yamcha over here, right? Now, when Yamcha first hopped on the scene in Dragon Ball, he was a stud, right? He was the only one to, like, the first one to hand Goku his L, right? Even though Goku was a little bit hungry, it doesn't matter. Still bested Goku. So we all thought he was going to be a stud. Growing up through the series, we knew getting into the World Martial Arts Tournament, while Goku and Krillin are training with Master Roshi, Yamcha's going to come back fiercer, tougher than ever. But there's a reason why Akira Toriyama drew Yamcha's training completely opposite of Goku and Krillin. Check this out. So what is Yamcha doing right now? The two things that Master Roshi doesn't want Goku and Krillin to do. He's sparring and he's practicing his techniques. So he's going from school to school, just proving to guys, hey, I'm stronger than you, beating up a bunch of suckers, people that he knows he can beat up in his sleep, right? Look, he's dodging the punches, no big deal, never in danger. Why? Because he's doing it because he wants to look good. Now, this is not an accident, right? He wanted to paint the picture of, here's what happens when you don't take your training seriously, when you don't push beyond your limits and you only do what you're already good at. Yamcha trains so he can look good. He trains so that Puar and Bulma and everyone can cheer him on. He does it for the ladies' adulation. He goes into the forest. He does long bouts trying to learn his Wolf Fang fist, which I'm a big fan of because I think it's pretty cool. But it's a very classic example of he's not doing any hard work. He's not strength training. He's not pushing himself to the max. So when the world tournament comes around and you got to face real studs, you didn't earn it, bro. You didn't earn it. You never took yourself to that terrible place. You know nothing about pushing past your limits. So when you hit your limits, you didn't know what to do. You have no idea. And I love that Akira Toriyama made that because that is 100% true to real life. You've got to be able to push past your limits. And the foundation of wisdom is strength. Be strong first. And then when you're strong, you can turn your strength into technique at a certain point. But being strong supersedes everything. Hard work supersedes everything. Don't waste your time trying to spar, look good. No, you need to train yourself, master yourself. And to do that, you can only master yourself when you seek something beyond yourself.
Okay, boys. Did you remember to pack your toothbrushes?
Yes, sir.
Tooth what?
Okay. You can take off your shells now.
Oh, good. I was scared we'd look silly at the tournament. Whoa.
There you go. So Master Roshi waits until the day of them leaving for the tournament. Now your training is done up until the point of leaving. Not like, hey, training's ending soon, have a few days off. No. You wear it because it's considered normal. Now that you're shifting gears heading to a tournament, let's go ahead and get ourselves ready for the tournament. It's no longer necessary. We take them off.
Whoa! My body's so light now. I feel like paper.
Huh?
See how high you can jump.
Hey, Goku.
Notice something different?
Hey, boys, I've got something for you.
So, yes, wearing a turtle shell and wearing something weighted can definitely improve your body, make your body stronger, and then, increase muscle mass density, power, speed, especially when you take it off. That's all true. Now, as a kid, I used to be like, wow, if I do that, can I jump into the air like that? You definitely can. There's still restrictions as to the physical laws of the universe and what a human can actually do. However, it is 100% true that you can improve yourself by pushing yourself to the extreme, progressively overloading your body, eating plenty of food, healing yourself, getting plenty of recovery, right? He never shirked that. He never said, hey, stay up, do long nighters, don't heal yourself. He was able to heal himself, which is a very important facet of training. They also did it with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of happiness. They see it as just another day. And now the day finally comes. Hey, they're ready for the tournament. And now they have all these new skills. And yes, once again, there's no better feeling than just being stronger than everyone. There's a old school quote that strong is happy. Strong is happy, guys. Strong is always going to be happy. So when you are stronger than everyone else, technique becomes something as an afterthought because you're strong enough to deal with people without needing it. So that's going to be the reason why Goku and Krillin do so well relative to Yamcha. Yamcha focused on sparring and technique, looking flashy. Never pushed himself to that limit. Goku and Krillin only pushed themselves to the limit, and now they get to enjoy all the spoils of their hard work.
Well, since you're going to your first big tournament, I thought you should wear something nice.
Launch, did you make these yourself?
I've never worn one of these before.
Oh, you look adorable.
What's so funny?
You in a suit.
Hey, let's get this baby.
Goku in a suit. Krillin in a suit. Why? Once again, Master Roshi wants them to be a complete man. He's still teaching them the art of the gentleman. Have manners. Dress your best. You're about to go show up for a martial arts tournament. But guess what? You're not going to wear your stinky clothes. You're going to be showered. You're going to be well-groomed. You're going to look your best. And he wears his duds. And you notice, too, back in the day, Goku didn't have any issue wearing suits. You know, later on, they made his character really daft and goofy. And he's like, oh, I don't want to wear all these suits, Chi-Chi. And I don't like this feeling. He's like almost like he's an idiot. Well, yeah, he actually was diluted down into an idiot. Back in the day, Goku was a more serious and realistic kid. And he was actually excited to wear his suit because he gives them a chance to say, look, I'm putting on my best. I look good. You look good. And they're putting their best foot forward. And I think that's a beautiful way for Master Roshi to end this arc, is by saying you still have to be a gentleman. Present yourself the best way you can. And you'll see the fruits of all your hard work and labor by pushing yourself to your maximum, and not simply because you're learning new tricks and new methods to allow yourself to succeed so you can win a
Be moving or we're going to miss our plane.
And that's the end. And that's it, guys. So that's the end of the training arc. Once again, I think this is the most important, and it's clearly the most underrated training arc. But Goku learned his entire philosophy from what he learned from Master Roshi here, which was to always fight on the side of justice. And when injustices are happening, it's your duty to stand up and to be strong to fight against it. You're not fighting to be arrogant. You're not fighting to win things and get adulation from other people, whether it be women or anyone to go in the crowd and, you know, give you your, ooh, oh, you're so hot. You're doing this for self-mastery. And that principle always stuck, right? And he learned from a young age, as well as Krillin. You know, Krillin might be more of a ringer in all of his fights, always getting knocked out quick. But you notice that he always tries. And he's the heart and soul of Goku in all their scuffles. And there's a reason why the two times that Goku goes crazy is when Krillin gets killed the first time from Tambourine, right, in the Dragon Ball series. And then later on, of course, by Frieza. And those things hit him with a trigger that he's never felt before, right? Because he understands that deep loss. And those would be other maturation points in this character. And we'll definitely touch on those as well. But I wanted to cover this arc because this arc is crazy influential to me. I believe in it tremendously. I, for a fact, will tell you, as a fitness trainer for the past 20 years, strength matters above everything else. And if I have a kid later on and he's going to learn martial arts, whatever it is, I'm going to teach him how to be strong first. Then you learn technique. No shortcuts. There's no fancy movements you can do in the comfort of your home that make you feel good. Hard work, hard discipline, not shying away from pushing past your limits. When you do that, that turns you into a real man. And I think that's the most important part here. So I appreciate you guys joining me. This was obviously episode 1, like I said before. It's really cool to hang out with you guys. I'll be doing this continually. Have more episodes coming out as soon as possible. We're going to hit all his training arcs and talk about all the most influential, important things in the Dragon Ball series. Later on, I'll go through what Guts was doing in Berserk. We'll talk about certain things in JJK and just, you know, other animes that I care a lot about. You know, Yu Yu Hakusho, of course, one of my favorite. Rurouni Kenshin. We'll go through that kind of stuff and we'll discuss it. But for now, thanks for joining. You guys have a good one. Catch you guys on the next one.